Good afternoon. This is the January 16th, 2024 meeting of the Needham Commission on Disabilities. We will begin with welcome and introductions. Daniel, I think you have attended at least one other meeting, is that right?
Yeah, I actually have not been able to attend a meeting this school year, but last school year I was in
Okay,
attendance.
well, I think we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves to you again. I'm Jeannie Martin, I'm co-chair.
I'm Carol Thomas. I'm the other co-chair. Welcome.
I'm Lynn Rodman.
Yep.
Alexa Moore, I'm also the secretary.
Karen Morales.
And Maureen Callahan.
Officer Kelly Scopanetti, liaison for the NCOD.
And I'm Tatiana Swanson. I'm the liaison for the town. It's nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you for having me. And just to reintroduce myself for the purpose of you now recording, Daniel Cohen, preschool director at the Needham Public Schools.
Terrific. We begin our meetings with a review of the minutes from the previous meeting. Did everyone have a chance to look at them? And if so, do you have any comments, changes, corrections?
I do have one question where we had talked about, it's in section 6B, where we talked about this non-accessible building and business list. And we had indicated that we were going to include a subcommittee. We were going to have a subcommittee work on it, but I'm not sure we ever identified who the subcommittee was. Karen, do you remember? Or Alexa, do you?
That's a good catch. I think I volunteered, actually.
Okay.
Accessibility of businesses. I started making a list. Like I did a walk around town and I made a list. I mean, I think the majority of them we're going to have to, it's not necessarily probably sending a letter to the actual owner of the business. It's probably to whoever owns the building.
Yeah, the landlord.
Right, but I just wanted to identify the subcommittee for the minutes.
Yeah.
I do remember that a couple people volunteered, so it wasn't just you, Karen.
Yeah.
Alexa, sounds like you did. And was there anybody else that was in that mix?
Alexa and Karen, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I was going to just ask Maureen, maybe you know, or somebody else knows, maybe Tatiana, like, this is probably a dumb question, but if I know the list of like named businesses, how do I figure out who the landlord is?
So I think the property cards are public record. So I think
I need to pull the address.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So finish that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and we can get to that topic on the agenda. I just wanted to sort of add to the minutes.
There's
if we knew who the subcommittee was.
Got it.
But-
I added that. And then I know Maureen had sent one other, I had written trials instead of trails in section 9. So I've updated that. Was there anything else?
I'm sorry. Are we gonna get a chance to talk about the subcommittee? I just have a few questions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up on tonight's agenda, but Carol was just wanting to correct it from the minutes
Yep.
last month. So are there any other changes, corrections to last month's minutes? If not, I need a motion to accept them with the corrections.
I will make that motion.
And a second,
Second.
all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Okay, we have accepted the minutes from November 21st, 2023 with the corrections mentioned. Lindsay, welcome. I think I'm remembering that the other woman was not able to attend, is that right?
Pam?
Pam?
Is Pam coming?
Oh, I am actually not sure. I thought she could attend, but I can.
Well, I know that you had asked to delay until 6, so we can give her more time if you
Okay.
think she's coming.
Yeah, I'll shoot her a text and let her know.
Okay. While we're waiting, let's move on to the chairperson's report. And the first item is what we were just talking about, this subcommittee for identifying businesses that had some problematic access issues or other concerns. So now we have established that Karen and Alexa will be working on this. And so the two of you, do you feel comfortable, or do you want more members on your subgroup to go forward, working on identifying and notifying these businesses? Karen and Alexa, are you okay with the two of you doing this?
Yes, I just need, I'm not sure how to pull property cards. I don't really know how to, so maybe someone
I
can tell
can
me.
I can help with finding out information, but that's the
Okay.
part that I wanted to clarify. If it's a business that lacks accessibility, I think it's going to depend on the type of accessibility and whether that responsibility goes back to the business or the landlord. Like if it's access to the property itself, but are we talking about like if you go to I don't know, I'm thinking a restaurant and they don't have sufficient clearance between tables? Like I'm trying to understand the scope.
So I was thinking more along the lines of like the new clothing shop in town has stairs to get in. I'm not aware if there's even a ramp to get in, but there's like Pura Vida, all of those things down from Cook, that part down, all have stairs to enter in like a 1970s design. Like
Yep.
what's the workaround? Like, I don't think there necessarily is one, but isn't there some semblance of a code that that stuff would need to be addressed by a landlord at some point? Like if you're having all these retail stores, wouldn't they have to put in a ramp or have some semblance of a portable ramp or a back entrance? Just seems kind of crazy in 2024.
I know Pura Vida has a back entrance. I don't know about the clothing store. I haven't been in there.
Okay.
And I don't even know. I'm saying it has a back entrance. I parked there for 8 years, by the way. You would think I would know this, but there's a back entrance, but I cannot remember for the life of me. There's a ramp there.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of those are accessible or if there's a workaround. So that was
Yeah.
things we were going to look at. And then there's just like the antique store that's closer to Dunkin' Donuts. So I have a list of those businesses that don't
Oh,
seem.
yeah.
Karen, I wonder if it's sufficient if we just sort of divide them up or go together and just even, I imagine the store owners would know who the landlord was or how to reach them if
Yeah.
it was a matter of reaching them.
If it's a matter of getting like information on a property, I can work on that with you for sure. Like you
Okay.
like who owns this building, and I'll figure it out like internally.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was like gonna freak out the owners of the businesses to go there and ask the question, like if we should just ask them directly or not. I maybe that's just a question.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on the age of the building, I only know this from the Emery Grover building, the school administration building, but depending on the age of the building, they might have been legacy into not having to be accessible, which is ridiculous. But I think that that's still a loophole, if you will, for compliance. But I mean, I think just a friendly written note would probably just at least get them to think about it.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Yes.
Even if the note was just addressed to the business, they will pass it on to
Yeah.
their landlord or whoever owns the building. That's just an easy way to bring it to their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. Let me write the list up and write the addresses because I haven't done that yet. And then I can send it to Alexa and we can think about that.
Yeah.
How long is your list?
It's
Approximately.
like 6 to 8 businesses. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. The next item from the chairperson's report is an update on the unpaved trails for all bill that Carol was going to talk about.
Yes, and I just forwarded the email out to everybody. I'm not sure, Tatiana, if you forwarded it out, back in November. But we got an inquiry from Meg Bandera, who's the founder of Unpaved Trails for All. It's a Massachusetts-based disability-led volunteer group that's advocating for more accessible nature trails around the state. And there's a bill in front of the state legislature, which I can share with you. Tatiana, can I share my screen?
Of course.
Okay. And so they're asking that we add our name as a commission to this. So let me just see if I can share this for you. So this is Unpaved Trails for All, and this is the Senate and the House bill. And what they're proposing to do, it's Senator Joanne Comerford and the representative, I've got to move you all, Sicolo, and the bill would establish a working group of people living with disabling conditions and trail professionals and people that are concerned with everybody in that category. And then they would evaluate the current trail system. And there is more details in here, and you can check in the email that I just sent you if you want any more details. And there's some obvious reasons why the bill is needed based on the benefits to everybody to be able to have access. And so they are looking for us as a commission to support this bill. The Boston COD and the Framingham COD and most of them in Western Mass have all supported this bill. So that is the concept. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about it. And then we had talked briefly at the November meeting about reviewing the information and then taking a vote if we wanted to add our signature. But let me stop there and see if there's any questions about what I've shared.
Could you scroll down maybe to see if it says how to support the bill as there we go, as an organization?
And so what Meg was asking us to do, I mean, there are other things that we can do, which I wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah.
But for starters, we could sign the support letter. And this is sort of in line with some initiatives that we've talked about regarding the accessible trails in Needham. So I am thinking that this is a good idea, but I wanted to share this and see what everybody else thought, or if you have any additional questions.
I think it looks like a wonderful idea. My goodness.
Yeah.
I support signing it.
Okay. Are there any other discussions or questions that people have?
Well, you might need to take a vote.
Yes, I just wanted to see if there's any other discussion.
It's an interesting data point that they provide, which is it's only 7.5 miles of trails in the whole state
Yeah.
Yes.
that are accessible. It's pretty pathetic, actually. So
And it's a joint endeavor with DCR, which is nice.
Yeah,
And
I'd be all for it. I think totally need more of it. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion before we entertain a motion? Or I guess I'll turn it back to you, Jeannie, since you're running the meeting.
If we are ready to move forward, I am ready to receive a motion to support our signing this bill.
We had to talk about, you said there were various levels or ways that we could support it. Do we want to discuss those at all or no?
Besides
said,
signing a letter.
Yeah, was there, I mean, I saw something about social media posts, or I don't know if we want to look at all the various things that we could do.
You can contact your legislator, write an opinion piece. We could also, it seems like that's separate, contact us about being listed as a supporting organization. That seems separate from the letter, so that's another thing we could do or consider doing.
Sorry, Carol, could you scroll down a little bit more? But I wonder what that entails. Is it just us saying here, add the Needham Commission on Disabilities to this list?
Yes, it's saying add the NCOD to this list as by signing the support letter. Is what Meg said.
When you click on the letter, sorry, when you click on the signer support letter, like what is it, where does it bring you to? Okay. Oh, I see. They draft a letter for you.
Yeah.
And
Like a
Rebecca Rausch
petition.
is Needham's senator, by the way.
Right.
And she's the chair of this committee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like something we would want to post about on the Needham Facebook page to state that we have signed on. And if there are any actions that individuals can take in support of it as well, we should share those.
And
Do
there
we just
are
add our
things that
name to
individuals-
this? Do we just add our name to this letter that the link opens to?
Yeah, I think I would contact Meg and say that we'd like to be listed as the Needham Commission on Disabilities, and then we could sign the letter that we just saw and do some of these other things.
I mean, and I could work with Amy to see if this is something that we could publicize in the news you need them.
Yeah, I'd love to publicize it. And I can
think so
call,
too.
yeah, I can call Meg Bandera back, you know, unless Tatiana, you'd prefer to do that.
No, no, not at all. I'm just trying to think of if this is something that we would also put on our own website, on the town's, you know, the town's website, the
yeah.
page, the Needham Commission on Disabilities page.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we could make a motion to sign the petition and contact them to find other ways that we could also provide support.
Okay,
So I guess that would be my motion to sign the petition and contact them for other ways that we could provide support.
I'll
Second,
second that.
Third.
um,
Do we take a vote by name now or?
I'm sorry.
I forgot about that. You do have to call everybody. Sorry, I keep forgetting we're on Zoom, so you have to call everyone by name.
So I'm gonna take over because Jeannie may have something she needs to do. So we have a motion and a second, so I'm gonna call for a vote. Karen,
Yes.
Alexa,
yes.
Lynn,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes.
and Jeannie. You can do like a thumbs. Yeah. I think Jeannie's in. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think
Yeah,
that's everybody
aye.
that can vote.
Sorry.
Yep.
I'm in a
Tatiana,
meeting.
can you vote?
I can, yes.
All right. Okay, so the motion is approved. I'll add our name to the list and contact Meg Bandera.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item of business is a question about our next meeting, which comes during school vacation week. And my question is, are enough people going to be away or doing things that they would prefer to have it the week after school vacation week? So I'd love to hear your comments on that.
I will not be here.
I'm up in the air. It's gonna be a last minute thing.
So would it work better for you to delay it 1 week? To the 27th?
I would, but I don't want to disrupt schedules.
Doesn't matter to me.
doesn't matter to me either.
Yeah,
I'm
me
good.
either.
So it sounds like we might lose 1 or 2 people, so it seems like changing it might be a good idea. And we've certainly done that in the past. That was a good catch.
Okay. I am not able to attend, but I really couldn't attend either. February 27th is my mother's 100th birthday.
Wow, oh, wonderful.
I will be preoccupied,
Great.
but I'm busy the week before as well. But it sounds like the 27th is going to be good for everyone.
Yep.
So do we have to vote on it, Tatiana?
I don't think so. I think as chairs, you can call it, and we'll just have to make sure that the agenda reflects that the meeting is on the 27th or whatever. I think we asked about this last year when we started thinking about how many people we were losing during February vacation.
Okay. Great, done. Lindsay, are we expecting Pam as well?
Yes, she will be on right at 6.
Okay, so let's continue with our next item, which is the ADA liaison report.
I have 2 things on the autism awareness initiative. We have not heard anything from any local businesses about the initiative. I contacted the economic development manager and asked him to blast it out again. So he did that. I did also contact the Needham Observer. I know that they're not doing advertisement yet, but they did offer to writing a story about this effort. So obviously, I just wanted to make sure that that the commission will be in favor of something like that. I think all publicity is good publicity. I think we're not getting any hits on this, so I think that if we can get creative about the way we promote it within businesses, I think the Observer is a good option now that there's no local newspaper. I know it's been put on our social media, it's been put on, you know, on the town's platforms. And like I said, it's been blasted through the listserv, through local businesses, but I'm not hearing any noise from anyone about an interest in taking up the grant. So, are we interested in the Needham of possibly
about-
writing a piece?
Yeah, I think we should do that. What about Volante? Have we reached out to like Dave at Volante Farms? I mean, that's not a typical restaurant, but they do have like all that establishments, and they do all this stuff around like holiday activities. That could be interesting.
I mean, I would have assumed that they're part of our listserv. Again,
Yeah.
I can confirm, but
I wondered, I think Karen, what you're doing is I'm thinking the same thing. What if you just approach someone and ask
Yeah,
them to do it?
send an email to Dave and be like, hey, would you guys want to do like Dave Volante,
And-
like want to do this? Like,
And that we would
Um,
sponsor it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like it's a cost. I mean, certainly time and, you know, they'd have to make the arrangements, but I wonder if to do something well-known, like Volante, to sort of have them undergo it, then do the article and say, this is the experience they have. Hopefully it's a positive one. And you could get quotes and then you could sort of put it out there. And that might be better, I think, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure that Lindsay and Pam and Daniel know what we're talking about, because they may have some ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
hi, everybody.
Maureen, do you want to
Hi.
explain the program to them in a nutshell so they?
Yep, sure. It's called the Autism Welcoming Program, and it was featured in the Globe a couple months ago, and we've been discussing it ever since. That we thought it's for businesses just to offer it. They offer a training. I can't think of the exact name of the organization that offers it, but it's a training for employees of retailers or restaurants, any business that wants to sort of become more kind of welcoming and autism friendly, so that they do these, they offer you some cards to use and some just different ways to approach people and to make families and people with autism feel really welcome in their establishments. And it's a whole training program, and they record it, and business can keep that recording so that when future employees join and that weren't there, they can kind of give them that as as a
training.
or a refresher for people who haven't done it in a while. So we were hoping to get somebody, an organization in Needham to do it, and we would sponsor them. It's a $500 fee for the training. And we thought, well, maybe if we sponsor somebody to do it and then, it's successful, maybe other businesses would follow suit.
So do you have any thoughts on places we might approach?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly put the information about this in my newsletter as well, and also pass that information along to, the other principals and directors across the district. I think that might be a good outreach, for families that might own businesses or be associated with them in some sort of way. You had mentioned Volante Farms. The Volante family actually came through the preschool. The kids are a little bit older now. So that might really be a great place to start as a family that already had experience at the integrated preschool. I could certainly see that potentially being a successful reach out.
They also
We all-
currently have employees who are on the spectrum. So I think that would be a really great place to start. I have an email address if you need it for Terry Boardman. She makes donations to the preschool in the form of pumpkins.
Is she affiliated with Volante?
Yes,
Mhm.
I think her maiden name is
She's a
Volante.
Volante.
I have Dave and Katie Volante's emails as well,
Yep.
which are, just sort of simply, I think, like Dave at Volante Farms or something like that.
Well, I am happy to send that email. I do not have a relationship with Volante Farms, and I'm not even sure they're gonna know who I am, but I am happy to provide the information. I don't know if there's any committee member that has a relationship with Volante. Yeah, as fellow members of the community.
I know Dave. So, I mean, I can send it to Dave from me with the information from the committee.
I think that'd be great if you could.
Yeah,
I
that's
think a
fine.
personal connection makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, and they like to do a lot of charitable things, so I feel like that might be a good fit. I think the challenge we might have with restaurants is knowing people that are owners in that space, they're just so understaffed and the food costs are so high that the level of stress in the restaurant business right now is like at a breaking point. So I think getting like a larger enterprise to go first might be easier than trying to get a small business to do it.
Right, it's hard to find staff and get them trained just to do the basics.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I think Volante Farms is an awesome idea, like across the board. That's such a good fit. The other local business that has been receptive to some of the things CPAC has done is the James. So if you're looking for just more than that's Sawyer, everybody. If you're looking for more than one, the James hosted an event a few years ago. Do you guys remember? It was like an autism lunch where they sort of created this safe space, and there was a like how to take your kiddo out to a meal and have the space itself be more receptive and more friendly for kids with sensory issues. And the James was great about that. And the owner there is, his wife is a first grade teacher at Newman. So if you need just a second business, that's another good option.
Okay.
That'd be
And
great.
that's Sawyer. He will probably periodically pop his head into this meeting.
Terrific. Tatiana, did you have any other issues to bring up?
No, so I wanted to, hold on one second. I wanted to, share, I was asked to provide, the handicap parking fees intake, at the last meeting. Unfortunately, apparently the system has crashed. So I only have information for, or they don't have access to anything. They switch systems. I'm not sure. I didn't get the full story, but they're working on getting me past years. But I do have FY23, which is the fiscal year that starts on July 1st of 2022 and goes through June 30 of 2023. And that total intake for fines was $1,450. Overall, the citation stands at $100 for a handicap parking violation. And then for FY24 thus far, which we're right in the middle of the year, we have taken in $510. Working on 22 and because I'm actually curious about what I wanted to see was the dip from 2020, into and then the increase back into 23. I thought that would be interesting. So I'm working on those past 3 years still, and I'll bring them in
Right,
for the
people
next
are
one.
out and about parking
Yeah, there was
parking illegally.
right, but remember there was either parking legally or not parking at all because we were all home, and we thought that was the end of parking collections as we knew them. Luckily we're out of the pandemic, so that was the dip and the increase I was looking forward to seeing. But looks like we're on track to be around the same intake as last year. I want to say that in general it's been pretty steady in the last few years. So as you know, except to taking the pandemic aside, but I'll come back with more data on that.
Just to clarify for Lindsay and Pam, we're talking about this because the money that is collected from accessible parking fines is money that NCOD can use to issue grants. And so we are curious to know how much money we have to work with that we've gained in the last year. I'm guessing approximately the overall fund is probably what, 5,000 to 7,000 maybe, Tatiana?
Yeah, I provided the balance at the last meeting. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if it's in the meetings.
So we are encouraging members of the community to write grants so that we can use this money that is accruing through the accessible parking fines.
Yeah.
Okay, I think with that, we will segue into our guest speakers. Pamela Greenfield and Lindsay Bigda from Special Education Parent Advisory Council. please go ahead. We welcome you to our meeting.
Hi, everybody. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So I actually was not, I didn't have anything particularly planned here. We can give you guys an overview of, what CPAC does. We can answer any questions. We can tell you a little bit about how our organization is structured and some of the events that we do. And, happy to share all of that. Is there anything in particular that, you guys want to hear us cover that I didn't just mention? Anything specific?
That sounds like a good start.
Okay. And how much time do we have for our little bit here?
Uh, 20 minutes? I
Okay,
don't-
cool.
Carol?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, awesome. So I am Pam Greenfield. I am one of the co-chairs of CPAC. This is my this is Sawyer again. All right, buddy, go over there. This is my second year serving in this role as a co-chair. Lindsay is my co-chair this year and will continue on next year. So CPAC is an organization that is sort of comes from federal law. My understanding is that every town in the United States of America is supposed to have a CPAC, and the federal law gives us guidance on what the CPAC does. They really serve as an advisory board for districts to be a go-between between the parents and the district, the administrators. So we don't sort of put forth individual issues and cases and serve as like advocates or pick fights with the administrators. Really what we do is try to bridge the gap with administrators and foster a really good relationship. I have to go tackle a first grader. So Lindsay, why don't you jump in and give us an overview of the structure?
Yeah. So currently we have an executive board. Pam and I are co-chairs. We have programming chairs. We have two people who are doing that now. We've got communications and a secretary, and our treasurer. So that is our leadership committee. And then each school has parent contacts. So I myself am currently the parent contact for the preschool and Sunita Williams, which is where my special ed kiddo goes. We have monthly meetings with the special directors, and they give us some updates. We can give some feedback. We pick topics that might be relevant to have meetings about. And there's also just ongoing general communication, as Pam said, with the special education directors and building coordinators, where we might bring to light some parent concerns or questions. We also organize educational programs that are of interest to our parents. Do you want me to keep going, Pam?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Doing great.
Thanks. Our parent contacts, again, just serve as points of contact for each individual school. We have social events, community building activities. We now have a monthly support group, which has been incredible. We have our parent CPAC Facebook group, which is a really great resource. If you have a question, want a point of contact, information sharing. Yeah, so that's kind of a generalized, very high level overview of what we do and our operational day-to-day kind of thing.
Yeah, and we're a group of parent volunteers. So at any given moment, the group can be as small or as large as the volunteer base is. I'm sure you guys know that well. So as Lindsay said, each school has a parent contact. We used to call that role the liaison role. We have a, did you say this? We have a communications director, we have a treasurer, and we hold annual elections every year. We used to be governed by open meeting law, we're not anymore. But we do record all of our meetings and put them on our website. And our monthly business meetings are about an hour and a half long. And we have the administrators at the first part of the meeting. We historically would have them present for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the beginning, but we sort of over time decided we wanted to have a more of a collaborative work group with the administrators. So we have them stick around. Sometimes they're like, do you guys really want us here for this? And we do, because we want to, you know, bounce ideas off of them. We want to hear what they have going on at the administrative and school levels. And then we sort of get rid of them for the last 30 minutes and have parent only time, and we turn off the camera and it's a total safe space. So we have those meetings not quite once a month, but maybe 6 or 8 times during the year. As Lindsay said, we have educational programs, we have social programs, we have like some new activities that are starting to be like annual activities. Did you talk about Halloween?
Not yet.
So there's an event every year that we partner with. We've done it twice now, and it will definitely continue to be an annual event. We partner with a family who lives near the high school to do an accessible Halloween. So they close down the street. The Needham Police Department is involved. Hi, Danny's kid. And an Officer Rocket comes, an Officer Ghost, and all of that whole couple, like Main Street on Brookline Ave and the side streets, people come out with little tables, and we do a trick-or-treating. The kids dress up, and it's like, you know, no loud noises and no scary costumes, and it's during the daytime and it's much more controlled. So if you have a kiddo that struggles on a night like Halloween, it's an opportunity to be involved, but in a much more accessible way. So we love that activity. We're always looking to do more activities like that. We're trying to put together some kind of a carnival or a special event in April or May to celebrate Autism Awareness and Disability Awareness Months. That's going to be new this year. Every year we do a CPAC Awards. Before COVID, that was like the nicest event. It was always in person. It was like a little award ceremony. Since COVID, we've come away from that, and it's been a Zoom event. Last year, it didn't happen at all. So we're trying to get back to the old model of like getting people together and building community as much as we possibly can. We've partnered with local organizations like the YMCA and Needham Park and Rec to talk about how we can create more opportunities for our kiddos, both inside the school and outside the school, during the extended school year, in the after school program, all of those types of things. Lindsay and I also attend Dan Gudekant's monthly, what he calls it, the President's Council. So it's all of the PTC chairs. And Lindsay and I have a seat as CPAC chairs, and we have this sort of consortium with Dr. Gudekant's and talk about, you know, top level issues. We have coming up a meeting with the principals of the schools. We had a presentation last year to the school committee that sort of ruffled a lot of feathers and talked about culture in general in the schools and how there's been a tremendous amount of progress with some typically marginalized groups, and we don't feel that the disability community has enjoyed the same advances, primarily because our kids are not really always able to have that kind of a voice, especially at the high school level. So what can we do as a CPAC to further our own agenda of you know, beefing up the curriculum on neurodiversity and just really celebrating it in the school district and having sort of a climate shift where neurodiverse kids are celebrated in the same way that neurotypical kids are, and starting to move that needle a little bit. Anything else that you can think of?
I think the only other thing that's on our agenda is developing a fundraising arm. So our Friends of Needham CPAC, because we think there's a really big opportunity that we're missing to help support some of our awareness initiatives within the community, such as the Autism Awareness Day or Disability Awareness Month. And then a teacher had approached us from one of the schools about a movement, walk, run, roll fundraiser. And because we don't have that 501c3, we can't raise money to support our efforts. So other than that, yeah.
So
that's what
there's no funding that's allocated to CPAC for this activity?
Mm-mm.
So the way the structure is really bizarre, but CPACs are not allowed under the federal law. Like CPACs themselves are not allowed to manage funds. So CPACs in other towns have created a workaround in a few different ways. One way is to create like a Friends of the CPAC. So think about, like, for example, like at the high school level, varsity baseball might get like, this is the amount of money that's allocated for varsity baseball. But then they have the Diamond Club, which is like a booster club, right? That supports varsity baseball. So if they want to do a fundraiser so that they can have extra money to buy specific uniforms or equipment that's not in the budget, they do that. So it's the same idea. It's the shadow organization that would really exist exclusively to manage funds and hold funds. Other CPACs, and this is the way we currently do this, we have NDI holding our money. So if we do have any funds that have come in, and back in the old days, we used to ask the PTCs for a donation of like $50 or $100 from their funds. And then we would have NDI hold the money and just sort of let them know when we need it. So for an example, like every year we do an annual breakfast where we invite all of the administrators and the building coordinators to the high school and all of the parents. It's a kickoff meeting. It always happens in September. And we get bagels and coffee and fruit and whatever. So like we will call NDI and say, like, we need to be reimbursed for these, this breakfast, or we're going to bring a speaker in and the speaker fee is $250. We have NDI pay for it from our like sub account. So that's the way we currently manage it, but it's not, and it works for those small things. But if we want to do a fundraiser and we want to make a donation, or we want to, do
Build
a
a
fun
program,
run, yeah, partner with an organization that we want to donate money to, like, we can't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, so you couldn't apply for a grant either, for example, from our grant fund. Somebody would have to do it on your behalf, like this, somebody from the school committee or the school department.
I'm not 100% sure, like, really the person that would really know the answer to that is like Elisa Scattrud. She's our liaison to school committee. I would imagine we could apply for it, and if we got it, we'd have to have NDI hold the funds.
Hold the money, okay.
Yeah.
Because
And I think it also depends on who we're soliciting.
Mhm.
I don't know if we can necessarily, as an organization, ask for money that way, but a lot of the times, and I used to be a fundraiser, so like you might have the qualifications that, the recipient has to be a 501c3. So it depends on who you'd be asking to.
We really don't, but for the
Okay.
purposes of paying out the funds, I'm sure I will probably need to see some, like, because in order to get you into my system as a payee, that's probably where the complication will come in, because
Yeah.
you need to see like documentation that you're an entity, basically, we make payment to an individual.
Yeah.
So that's probably where where we need to make the payment to the Needham Public Schools. And have them disperse the money to you according to their own rules.
Yeah, I
Or
never
for the
got it.
program or for whatever it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Can I just ask a silly question? Sorry, but
Yeah.
a traditional PAC, I'm just thinking about my own experience. They're able to raise funds, so that they're set up as a 503.
501c3, yeah.
501c3, yeah. So regular, like the PACs, the I forget what they're called here, but like the parent teacher associations, they are able to raise funds.
Yeah,
That's strange.
it's the way that the federal law that governs CPAC. So the like PTCs, they're just regular PTCs, right? So like Newman has a PTC. There's no federal law that governs Newman's PTC. They can do whatever they want. CPAC is like a quasi-governmental body. We have to have elections for a really long time. We were governed by open meeting law. So like anytime we had a meeting, we would have to notify like the town clerk's office. They would have to publish the notice. We would have to, send our minutes, all of that. So it's just, we're just governed by different regulations.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the
No.
things we wanted to talk with you about was, how could we partner together? That was the reason, I think, why this conversation is happening. And it's terrific to learn more about, the CPAC. So thank you for sharing all of that.
I guess I would, I'm not so clear on what it is that you guys do, I mean, I think it would be helpful for Lindsay and I to hear a little bit of an overview of what your commission does.
Yeah, I'm involved with a different group called Changing Spaces in the Massachusetts chapter, and it's talking about, accessible changing tables for adults throughout that. And so like my brain is spinning that way of how can I work with you guys here too? So yeah, it'd be great to have an overview.
Carol, I'm sorry to say I have to leave now, but
Yeah. I'm
you'll
gonna
put
just share on our website. I can cover that. I got it.
thank you. This sounds like an exciting partnership, so good
Yeah.
luck.
So we too are an advisory committee, like you are, so we can totally relate to that. And this is our website. It lists all of us as members and talks about our general purpose, which is really an advisory capacity. And we really try to promote the integration of everyone with disabilities, and including the CPAC community. And we also provide information to businesses, just like we were talking about earlier. And then we try to participate in a variety of information for the community. And we also work to make sure that we're in compliance with the ADA. And we have, people from the community also reach out to us and can place advocate calls, to which we will respond. And then the other thing that we do is we have this grants, which we just talked a little bit about, which is a fund that you can apply for, and they're funded by the handicap parking fines. So that's a really quick version of sort of who we are and what we do.
That's great.
Yeah.
So would you say that just curious, is most of your work around individuals with physical disabilities?
No, I mean, it's really all kinds of disabilities, anything that qualifies, as a disability. So we work to be in compliance with the ADA, and we've recently had a number of initiatives. We've talked about making the playgrounds more accessible, and this an autism awareness, recognizing, restaurants, like the training that we were just talking about earlier, I think right before you got on. So, those are some areas, where we would certainly intersect.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because our group talks a lot about, I would say the great majority of our families are families that don't have physical disabilities, and they're more, a lot of them talk about invisible disabilities, and a huge percentage are the neurodivergent population. It'd be so interesting for our parents to hear the ways in which your group is working in Needham to make things more accessible for our kids.
Right. And we are an advisory, group, but we also want to share information as well about, services and that type of thing.
Yeah. Are you guys all elected?
No, actually, the entire board is appointed.
Yeah.
By who appoints you?
The select board.
Okay,
So,
got it.
so there's,
And we have an opening. If you know anybody that would be a good candidate, we have an
Yeah.
opening.
Alexa was ready.
Oh, that's so funny. No, we didn't realize this was a job interview.
No,
You
so
are very busy.
the commission is composed by 9 members. It was established back in the, I want to say 70s or 80s.
Wow.
It's been around for a really long time. Actually, Jeannie is one of our long-standing members. Since I've been here, almost the entire commission has turned over, and I joined in 2015 when I was asked to staff the commission. The town appoints town employees to be liaisons to different boards and committees that do not have their own staff to help them manage the logistics and financials of it. So yeah, it is an advisory board. I believe, I mean, a lot of our work was initially mostly driven by mobility, issues. We were doing a lot of construction of new buildings. And so most of what we concentrated on was making sure that rules for ADA were being followed. We would go and do inspections after the buildings were were close to being just on the punch list, and making sure that we're checking all the boxes, and accessible parking was a huge focus for us too. I think as a community, our focus has shifted a little bit more, towards ensuring that we're also accounting for neurodiverge, needs or accessibility. Some of the things that keep coming up, at least for town events, is, families' ability to participate with children that may need safe space and other accommodations for successfully participating in some of the town events, like the Blue Tree lighting, some of the Park and Rec events. So one thing we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that the community understands that the town is willing to help or hear ideas on how to accommodate requests for participation in events where a child or an adult may need accessibility for the invisible disability, as you like to call it.
We have given, we don't get a lot of requests for grants, so it's interesting. I know the Halloween party that you're talking about, and that would be something that, because it serves a lot of people, we could consider. We have given 2 grants recently to special ed classrooms at Pollard in the high school for multi-sensory
Materials.
tools. I don't know to use the word.
Yeah.
Tools for adaptive classrooms, so for neurodiverse populations. So that's really been the only sort of request we get, and we have, I mean, we don't have a ton of money, but we have a bit of money to give. So that's interesting. The other thing we're trying to pilot that we thought was interesting, and I've been typing up some information to send out, was thinking about giving a business in town an award for being inclusive. So we've talked about some examples of businesses that we found, but we did want to reach out to both the preschool and the CPAC organization to see if you guys had examples of places that you found to be particularly accommodating of different needs, because it's just nice to start that conversation. We started the conversation with the police department doing a really good job on social media and communications and sort of building a lot of goodwill in the community. And we think that we can build more goodwill by celebrating some of these stories. We all hear so much negativity in the press these days, and these little stories that make you smile are a good way to start, building a different tenor of, I don't know, love and acceptance and hope for all of us, right? So if I'll send that out and I can post it. I'm a member of the CCAT community because I have a kid in special ed in Needham, and I'll see if we can solicit some answers from.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'm thinking off the top of my head. I mean, there are so many there are so many businesses or organizations that have these like really unique programs for our kids. So I don't know if it's like, you know, a business like Volante Farm or Sudbury Farm or something, but like, I belong to a CrossFit gym, One Nation, that has rent space out to a woman named Karen Hurley, who runs this AIM therapy program. She runs this amazing like CrossFit programs for kids with special needs at all different levels. What's so cool about it is, you know, if you have a kiddo that has, you know, so like Ali Primo's daughter goes there, and then who's in a wheelchair and like learning to be stronger, and they have a powerlifting class for they're like entering a Special Olympics team, and then they have programs for like kids that are on the spectrum or have ADHD or anxiety or couldn't access that kind of a program in a large group and would need a smaller group. So I don't know if that fits your bill, but
Yeah,
that's
the kind of
an
stories
awesome
like
program.
capture, start getting some traction. I mean, we've talked on the mobility side about Serenity Nails. Like, I'm in a wheelchair. They completely accommodate me anytime I want to mani or pedi. They have a blind patron that they meet at the lift and escort in, and then describe the colors in great
Yeah.
detail. I saw them with a neuro I don't even know the right words. Neuro kid the other day getting his first pedicure with his mom, and they were like so lovely with the way that they were dealing with the situation. She had prepped them so much, and they were great. So that's the kind of thing that was
I
a
love
story
that.
that just came up.
Yeah.
But I would love some other things that naturally come up in the community too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some great ways that we can partner together. And I also want to mention that we've got the 3 liaisons as part of the commission as well. You know, you heard from Tatiana, but we also have Officer Kelly from the police department. Do you want to share a little bit about your role?
I attend all the meetings. I am the community service officer, so I do go to a lot of events in town. And if you ever have an idea for the kids, like you mentioned the carnival, I'm the go-to person. I can get things going pretty good. Also the Rocket, the Working Dogs, Needham Police Working Dogs Foundation. We did get the I always get this wrong, 501c3.
Yeah.
We are one of those now. So now we are able to raise money and give out grants also. So
So
that's
we actually, that's great. We had actually heard through the grapevine that Rocket and Ghost had their own 501c3. We
yes.
were wondering how you guys, like, who did that?
So it's myself, Brienzi, and Officer Frangello that are on the committee. Officer Frangello is the brains of all the paperwork. He
So
did it.
he's the one, okay, I
Ghost.
know him actually. That's Ghost,
Mhm.
he has Ghost, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he's the one that actually filed for the 501c3?
Yes. It costs a lot of money. Just
Would
to give
he
you
be willing,
Really?
to talk to us about that process, you think?
I'm sure he would. Yes. Yes.
Yay.
We definitely want to give you the lawyer that we had. 'Cause,
Okay.
it took a while, but it is doable. Because we are under federal law also. And with this Working Dogs Foundation, we can also partnership up with CPAC too. And I would love to do something like a carnival or a walk or a roll run. And I'm the person to come see if anything like that you wanted in town.
So that is definitely on our, sorry, I'm scooping ice cream and talking at the same time. That's definitely on our agenda for the
Mhm.
fall, the spring.
Okay.
Like we've been talking about this for a year. When the weather gets warmer, to come up with a parallel event like the Halloween, the accessible Halloween in the springtime,
Mhm.
in celebration of Autism Awareness Month and Disability Awareness Month. So I think, you know, we're probably, this timing is right now, and we don't have any funds to do anything with, you know, so I mean, our vision was to create this 501c3 and then raise money and then have funds to host this carnival. I mean, I think we're just having trouble getting this off the ground with the 501c3 to begin with. But maybe what we can do is chat with Officer Fungilio, and then us coordinate with our team, and then maybe loop you in to help think through maybe this pilot event in maybe May of this
Right.
disability carnival.
Yeah, no, that'd be great, because I do all the events for the Needham Police Department.
That would be
So-
awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And you
So
guys,
you make contact with Officer Pagello, and then we'll take it from there.
awesome.
Amazing.
Can I find his like contact information online, like on the website?
They should be all our emails are on there. Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
I don't know. I is it?
Are they? Are our names on there? It's been a while since I've looked at our website. You could actually just leave a message or an envelope and drop it off at the headquarters, and it'll get to them too.
Here, I will send
Me.
it to you, Pam. I don't know if I have your email address. I'm sure I do somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the agenda that Jeannie sent.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other
Okay.
liaison that we have is from the school committee. So Daniel is here representing the school committee tonight. Sometimes it's Stephanie Wyman. So we also have a school department liaison as well, so that we can stay connected. And he's going to be up next on the agenda, so you're welcome to stay for that. And before we, wrap up with this section, is there any other discussion that you wanted to have tonight, Pam or Lindsay, and anything else from commission members that you wanted to say or share?
I'm just happy to be here. We sort of, Stephanie sort of organized this for us, and Lindsay and I were like, where are we going? What are we doing? But
Yeah,
this
I'm
is a
glad you did.
happy surprise. It's good to meet all of you. And I do think there's a lot of partnership we can do here.
Mhm.
And we're just happy to, be connected.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming. You are welcome to stay. It's an open meeting. Kalpan, I see that you've joined us. Welcome. So if you need to go, we certainly understand. There are little people in your background who may need you.
Mine just walked in through the door.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much. Have a good night. And if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to do so.
I'm just
Sounds
wondering
good.
if you
Thank
guys, for any educational program that you guys do you also work with the Needham Education Foundation? Because I know they issue a lot of grants in the town,
Yeah.
like school activities.
You
Okay.
know, the funny thing for us is that fortunately, there's no like shortage of money available out there. It's just that CPAC cannot get its act together to get a place to
I
put
get
this.
it.
So we totally appreciate it. And yes, the NEF grants for sure. And, PTCs are more than willing to share some of their money. We just really need to figure out how to like have our own mechanism to manage it. And I feel like this whole business with Officer Rocket and Ghost,
Is a good starting
that's
point.
our ace in the hole right
There
there.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
I sent you Officer from Willow's email. It's Anthony, right? Officer Kara?
Anthony, yes.
Yeah, Anthony. I sent you his email just to make it easier to make contact.
Thank you guys so much. We
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
I'm gonna listen,
All
but
right.
I'm gonna turn my camera off.
I'm going to do the same.
Okay.
Thank
that
you
sounds good.
guys. Take
Thanks.
care.
All right, great. Okay, so moving right along to the committee updates. So we're up to the school department. Anything to say or share, Daniel?
Yeah, I don't really have too much. One thing that's sort of crossed my mind with the recent winter weather, at Newman and specifically at the preschool, we really made some changes to the parking lot, to try to enhance safety. And one of those changes that was made, was creating like a pedestrian walkway, that's newly painted yellow. And this is really the first winter that's been there. And then that first time that we got some snow, I noticed that it hadn't gotten shoveled. So that was something I had my eye on. I spoke to the custodial department at Newman, who just really wasn't on their radar and wasn't really aware that this would be a pathway that we would want cleared. So again, with the weather today, it was kind of a mix of the custodial department and myself getting out there and making sure that we had that cleared off, both for students, families that may need it as more of a handicap access point, as well as just, students using it to cross the lot safely with their families. So that was something that was on my mind, just to make sure that the town has a system in place that is part of their snow removal process. It is like behind some like stanchion poles, so it's not something they could just come in with their snowplow while they're cleaning out the streets with. They would either need to, shovel it out or possibly get a snow blower in there. But fortunately, haven't had too much weather to deal with, but something I would want to make sure gets done. That's specifically on my mind, just because of the location of it being at the school where we are.
But sorry, did the building maintenance provided sufficient like response support, like they,
Yeah, I can't say enough great things about the building team at Newman. Marco, who's the head of that custodial department, is extremely responsive to any requests that we have. And he's able to support us and help us out there. But just something that I do want to make sure that the town's aware of and is part of the regular process, because I know he's not necessarily always the one on call. I think snow removal is always often happening in the middle of the night and things like that, which might not be his shift or anything of that nature.
I don't know. Have you met the director, the assistant director, Shannon by chance?
Yes, I know Shannon.
Yeah, she's a great contact. If you want her to like put something on rotation, I would suggest definitely make her aware and she'll take care of it. She's wonderful.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thought.
Also, there's another thing, Dan, I used to be on the snow removal meetings because I deal with the schools all the time. I believe the custodians are responsible for the school sidewalks, the ramps, the handicap ramps, salting. The town mainly just does the parking lots and the streets access to it. So I think where this path is new this year, because I remember, just seeing it. I think it just might have just slipped by the custodian and he forgot about it. But I believe the town will not do that because it's considered a sidewalk now, because it's roped off.
Okay, well, it's not considered like a crosswalk.
Right, it's just that yellow strip with the barriers, which actually looks like a painted sidewalk in a way. So you could reach out to the town, but I believe they're gonna say it's on the custodians, just like all the other schools. And if the only thing they might do,
The custodians
just give you
report to
some
the
salt.
town though.
Right, but it's the custodians who are assigned to the schools are the ones that are supposed to shovel the sidewalks and the access to the schools. Because I deal a lot with this at the schools, like, the crossing guards have the crossing on the street, and then they have that ramp to go to the school. The town doesn't do that. The schools have to do it. It's tricky, because a lot of times in the
No,
morning when
but
I
my
go,
point is that all building maintenance reports to the town. So when you're saying the town or the school is the same people, because they're like Shannon also oversees the custodians, as actually
okay,
Shannon oversees the custodians, and then there's another department that oversees like DPW and the big.
Mhm.
So I think still Shannon will be able to coordinate that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he more asking about DPW coming in and cleaning it up.
Oh,
Dan?
okay.
Is that what you were asking?
I don't know that I had a specific answer in
Yeah.
terms of which end of it, more just, hoping that it can be addressed.
Right.
It's not me, because right now it's me.
Yeah, it's a new area, and I think it was just overlooked.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, Shannon actually happens to sit in public works, so I think she will be able to
Okay.
like give you the answer as to who owns it.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to her. I actually have a meeting unrelated with Shannon
Perfect.
this week or next coming up. So
Okay.
Okay, great.
other than that, I don't really have too much else to report that it's on my mind.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you for that update. So Felix isn't here to talk about accessible parking. Tatiana, is there anything that you're aware of in that area? Okay, so
No,
so we'll just move on to the diversity initiative. Lynn, if you have any updates.
Yes, so I actually attended the Diversity Initiative's Martin Luther King celebration yesterday, which was, I don't know if any of you were able to go, but it was really a wonderful, wonderful event. And so that was the first event of theirs that I attended. However, the challenge was having mobility issues was getting into the event. So I'm not that familiar with the high school. So I went to the end where the gym was, looked, and there was nobody in the doorways, and I saw everybody streaming up the steps, the large steps in the back. So I drove around to the other door where there's handicap parking and walked up to them, and there was nobody there, and the doors were locked. So I was like, okay, how am I going to get in here? So I kind of like stood and waited for a few minutes, and a couple of high school girls were inside the building, athletics or something. And so they came over and opened the door for me, which was very nice of them. I asked them, which way do I go? And they had no idea. But so I found my way there eventually. And then as I got up to it, there's stairs to go up to the auditorium. And I didn't realize there was an elevator beyond that. And there are lots of people in the lobby and everything. So I saw one of the women who was lovely and just very, very helpful. And she showed me the elevator and, helped me get seated into the auditorium. But when I was talking to her afterwards, she said, said it was really not very friendly, from an accessibility standpoint. So she said, they'd love my feedback on how to do a better job at that, because they said they don't obviously have that lens on things. So, I just thought, first of all, publicizing ahead of time, where there's accessible doorways. Right. They had a sign outside the doorway saying, handicap accessible, enter here. And then, just some signage. And then also, just they had so many volunteers there, and have one of their volunteers kind of have just a eye out for anybody who might have some challenges to get into the event. So, but so I met a couple of lovely people, and they gave me their emails, and I'm going to, give them some feedback to help them for the next event. But it also, made me think more about what other town events we have, and are they always as well planned for people who have mobility issues? I know I went to one of the Great Hall events, I guess it was last year, and it definitely, I wasn't familiar with the town hall building, where the elevator was, which door to go into. So just, I think the town, when they're doing some of these events, where there might be challenges for some people, just can be a little more thoughtful about making sure information is available.
In terms of
So-
how to access it, I think that's a great idea. And I don't know, Tatiana, how we can, work with the town to do that, but that is terrific.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Who put out the event? Like, who organized the event? Was it the school department?
This
The Needham Diversity Initiative.
Yeah, this was MLK by NDI. So I think that's a separate organization. So we should work with NDI so that when they publish, all of the things that they do, the diversity summit, when that comes up, that we should, make sure people know how to get in from an accessibility standpoint. But
Yeah.
then you reference the town events, and so Tatiana, I'm thinking that we could work.
So
on that.
that's one of the things that I've been working with my director of communication and community engagement, is to make sure that in the the promotional materials for the event, that it says, if you require an accommodation, to please contact me so I can figure out what that looks like. Because I don't believe that we've done that in the past. We haven't really given people an opportunity to say, I don't know how I'm going to get there. What is, and then so that we can make sure that there's somebody at the back door waiting to receive you, Lynn, if that was the case.
Yeah, or even just to talk about the accessible entrances, so people don't have to even request an accommodation unless they need something special, just to make it clear where those entrances are.
Yeah, because those stairs, a lot of elderly people without mobility challenges would have difficulty getting up. So, but I just think, just general awareness when they publicize an event is good.
That's great. Thank you for that report. And perhaps that could be, one of the things that you could contribute, as you look at they don't have all that many events, just to make sure that piece is included. So
yeah, for sure.
Great.
So thank you.
Yep. Maureen, the LEPC, Local
Yeah.
Planning Committee, for those that aren't familiar with that.
Yeah, I was there. I couldn't attend the entire meeting. I left for a meeting for my son, which I found out was canceled once I got to that meeting. So that was really great going.
no.
But this one was really just all weather related. And it was about, they had a speaker from the weather service out of Norton that sort of does all the, weather, the warnings, the storm watches, just different, talking about all what these different levels mean and how they work so closely, and the town uses them, to kind of guide there, whether they're when they get the plows out, how long this weather event is going to be, and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't nothing that I thought of for our committee necessarily that was that relevant, but I do know that they it made me wonder about, I saw Youth and Family Services putting out a number of announcements asking for volunteers to shovel. I don't know if anybody saw that, but I thought that was interesting. And I don't know if they got enough people, but it seemed like they were asking for people with disabilities and people in the housing authority specifically. And I was glad to see that. And I don't know, they basically put out, they said it a couple times, and the last one was the day before the storm, saying we are desperate in all caps for more. They were targeting teens and making sure they knew they could get community service hours or they could get paid. It was kind of their choice whether they needed the hours or not. So I hope they do more of that. And I hope people that saw it know that they can hopefully sign up too. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that.
Last year we did talked about this. I don't know if anyone remembers. We
Yeah.
wanted to sort of maybe build a program for them, and we realized that they already have a program that they had been running for a number of years. I think the problem has been that last year there was hardly any snow. So they
Right.
might have lost a lot of their, potential helpers, if you will. So they're probably just trying to kick this back up, with new volunteers and more people now that we're seeing snow again. So yeah, I don't know what we can do to help, but I can definitely check in again with the youth services department and see if there's anything they would like us to do to help promote the program or help support him in any way.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So that brings us to the playground initiative with Park and Rec. Karen, I don't know if there's any update on that.
I haven't heard anything. I don't know, Tatiana, have you heard anything?
For what, I'm sorry?
Accessible playgrounds that was put on hold this summer for the Parks and Rec?
No, I haven't, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so I guess we're in a holding pattern on that. And then last but not least, we had we talked a little bit about this, recognizing the Needham businesses that we're welcoming. So I'm wondering if we could do something for that nail salon that you talk about.
Yeah.
They seem like a great candidate.
Yeah, they are. I think we wanted to post it to open it up more so that it wasn't like we were just giving it to one person.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I will now post it on CPAC. I was kind of waiting till we got through like the ice storms and whatever. So I will post it this week. I've written it up.
Great.
Just for those stories, I'll post it in CPAC and I'll send it to the schools to do in the newsletter.
All right, terrific. And then we can get nominations, as you say. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Is there any new business? All right, we have covered quite a lot of territory tonight. Okay, and we have the new date for the February meeting. So I think unless anybody has anything else, that's all we've got for tonight. So yes.
Can you just give me that new date again, just so I can pass that along to Steph?
Yes,
February.
it is February 27th.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And so with that, I would, unless there's anything else, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. A second.
I second.
All right. Thanks, Lynn. Tatiana, do we have to do a name call on this one? I'm thinking not.
Technically you do, but okay.
Oh, all right. I do. Okay. All right. Karen.
Yes.
All right. Alexa.
Yes, adjourn.
Lynn.
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Tatiana.
Yes.
Okay.
You have
the
to say
meeting-
your own vote too. And the
Oh,
chair.
and I vote to adjourn. So the meeting is officially adjourned, and Tatiana, you can stop the recording.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everybody. Thank you so
Night.
much.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Kalpana. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good night.